Creativeness only exists in the present. Murdo MacDonald Bayne. I will speak out what has been hidden since the foundation of the world. Matthew 13:35, Experience is related to the past whether it is pleasing or not pleasing, but experience is not creative. That which is of the past is not creative, only in the present are we creative. I am not saying that experience is unnecessary, but to depend on our experiences, on our memories, as a guide is denying the ever-present creative intelligence. Experience through a sense of separation is not the way to true expression. What I call right action is not the result of the past. Right action is an expression of the ever-present where there is no sense of right or wrong. It is an action that is not the result of the past, the future, or the external. It is only when you understand what is the past, the future, or the external can right action come. If you do not understand this, your action will arise from your conditioning and not from the ever-present intelligence in which there is no memory, no fear, no separation. Spontaneous action is the intelligence expressing itself through the individual that is free from effects of the past, free from fear, free from opposites that distort the true expression of the Christ of God in man. If you will understand the man of Galilee, you will discern the fact that he only acted from the ever-present and not from the past nor from memory or fear, for he knew no fear, no separation, because he lived in the ever-present. You will probably say, as a means of escape, that he was different, but he himself said, "The things I do, greater things shall you do, if you will but believe, understand." He never acted from effects. The ever-present is not an effect or a result of something else. You cannot say that the ever-present is the result of the past because the ever-present knows no past, being eternal and timeless. It is only when we live in time that there is the past and the future. Living in the ever-present, there is neither the forgiver nor the forgiven, for in the ever-present love life there is neither right nor wrong. It is only in your mind that this exists. The ever-present is eternal love. To talk of forgiving is when there is the injured and injurer. Perfect love life knows none of these, for there is no intention to hurt. If we were in perfect love, there would be no intention to hurt, would there? If there is no intention to hurt, there is no need for forgiveness. It is only when you live in separation that this occurs, when you live in the past, in the future, and when you react to effects, living in time. Individual existence is imperfection. And this individual existence is worn down through understanding, constant awareness and adjustment. That is why it is necessary to put aside all theories. Through theories your mind is always engaged with the external and can never find reality. Only when the mind is tranquil can reality be found. If you are caught up in right and wrong, you can never find reality that knows no right nor wrong, knows no past, no future, no separation, no fear, no birth, no death. When you are concerned only with the present, the past and the future are dissolved away, in that perfect love life that is ever present, in which there is no distinction, no high, no low, no friend, no foe, no forgiver or forgiven, for we are one. This is the great truth that all seek but cannot find. 𝗖𝗋 that 𝗖𝗋 is living in the present and is the secret of happiness, because all that is thine is mine, and all that is mine is thine. You will see that this cannot be reached through theories, cults, creeds, etc., for they are the epitome of separation. You will also realize that it matters little whether the self exists or not, for when the I realizes the great 𝗖𝗋, then separation no longer exists. With this realization, struggle ceases as freedom is reached. So it matters little to you now what appears external to you when the present is realized, because in the present is everything. Cause and effect are understood, and with this understanding doubt, worry and fear disappear. The material world is the revelation of the creative power. Visible things are the representation of the invisible. When you understand this, you will understand the cause of the relative world around you, and you will no longer be afraid. For the same creative power that formed the universe is within all of us. When this is known, we realize, it is the Father who ever remains within me is performing his own deeds. It is when we react to the external in our ignorance that we create fear and condition ourselves. We crave, we divide ourselves into groups, into nationalities. We are caught up in our antagonism, so we create strife, war, and misery. Yes, we condition ourselves through our ignorance. We live in the past. In the future, we live in separation, so we fear death. We are inwardly poor, so we desire to achieve, so we are afraid. We try to conquer, and what we conquer we have to conquer again and again. Fear comes to an end only through understanding. We are afraid of death because we are in the bondage of time. It is because we are dead that we fear death. The living do not fear death. The dead are burdened with the past, by memory, by time. The living present is the eternal. The self weaves the net of time, and thought is caught up in it. The insufficiency of the self in separation, with its aching emptiness, is the cause of fear of death and of life. Is this fear not always with you in your activities, in your pleasures, in your pains? Being dead you seek life, but life is not found through the continuity of the self. The self, the maker of time, must yield to the timeless. If death is a great problem for you, it cannot be solved through explanations. You do not transcend fear through the study of explanations. The fear of death does not come to an end through a belief, for belief is within the net of the self. The very noise of the self prevents its dissolution. We consult, analyze, pray. This incessant activity and noise of the self hinders the bliss of the 𝗨. The noise can only produce more noise, and there is no understanding. Understanding comes when the whole being is deeply and silently aware, a silent awareness that is not compelled nor induced. In this active stillness the ever-present is revealed and fear ceases to be. In this tranquility death is dissolved in life. To be conscious of the great ever-present, we operate upon the universal substance as one with the Creator of all things. This reveals a greater power than any material possessions, external to the self, can give. It was through this means that Jesus changed the water into wine and fed the multitude, which the uninitiated think is a fairy tale only fit for children. When the material world appears to the onlooker as the reflection of the spiritual, the material takes on a greater significance. Where at one time the material conveyed only a substance comprised of atoms, it is now seen as an intelligence in expression, an intelligence that is ever present and responds in exact proportion in the lives of those who live in the present with the mind freed from past or future. Creativeness exists in the present only and is released through the mind that is free from conditioning. The visible expression is the result of the absolute life being given free expression through the individual. When man begins to see that he is one with the Creator of all things, then through man will come forth into his own life that which will be a joy unto him. But if he fails to understand this, he will eventually create in his ignorance a chain of causes and effects that will bring conflict and misery. Like a vicious circle, he will be caught up in the illusion of his separateness and limitation. Not until he is led to the truth of the ever-present omnipresence will he be free. Therefore, in the present and not in the past or the future lies the happiness and success of every individual. As long as thought feeling is identifying itself with the memories of yesterday, it will ever be in conflict and sorrow and can never experience the real. The real is not the continuation of identifying memory, for this is but a limiting and enclosing process. It is to this accumulation that one must die before the real can be experienced, and the real can only be experienced in the ever-present with no memory of rights or wrongs. To live in the ever-present there can be no time, no past, no future. But most people want a past and a future, a past that they can look at with pride or apprehension, and a future which they can look at with hope or despair. This is living in opposites which can only cause confusion. Therefore it is logically true as well as necessary for true happiness, to live only in the present, which is perfect love, loving your neighbor as yourself, then all else will be added unto you, for this is the kingdom of God. Matthew 16:5-8-10. When the disciples reached the opposite side they found they had forgotten to bring any bread. When Jesus noted this, he said, "How little trust you have in me? Why all this talk, because you have brought no bread? Do you not understand even yet? Do you not remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets you took up? And the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many large baskets you took up?" Benediction. O eternal ever-present presence, I lived in the illusion of my separateness until I found that we were one. My body made from the dust of eternity is scattered again to become infinite once more. My soul's mortal garment becomes immortal, for there is nothing apart from thee. My body dust commingles with the dust of thy feet, and my soul merges into thy spirit to become the diadem of thy heart. My life is thy cosmic life, my breath thy cosmic breath, my mind becomes thy mind, my will becomes thy will. My hands become thy mighty hand, my feet walk in thy ways, my brain the instrument of thy thought, my love thy love, to love my neighbor as myself. After my sojourn in delusion, I come to rest in thy bosom for evermore, O eternal ever-present presence. My peace and my love remain with you. Yours very sincerely, Murdo MacDonald Bayne.